Baseball is back, and at Team Toyota, savings and selection are back too. With tons of new Toyota SUVs, trucks, and hybrids to choose from, and with our lineup of over 200 certified used Toyotas, you can find the right fit for you and your budget. Plus, our service and collision centers are here to get you back in the game in no time. Visit one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or online at teamtoyota.net. Rain, go away. Kenner, you're looking a little wet.
Like
I'm soaked.
This pattern I have here as we sit here.
Huh?
They're towing your car.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Like, who is they?
Yeah. Okay, let's try that again. No, my car did not get towed. Welcome into the Phillies Talk podcast, presented by Team Toyota. I'm McKercher, joined by Sean Kane. It's a little wet. I'm soaked. We just got here.
Yeah, it was getting ready for the pregame show here on Tuesday, and then word comes that the games are going to be postponed to make a doubleheader on Wednesday, and needed to run over the ballpark real quick, and I thought I could make it before the rain started, but not so much. Yeah. But we're drying off here.
I am wearing, for our viewers on YouTube, I'm wearing a shirt, but I am soaking wet. It is pouring rain, and as Sean just alluded to, we sit down here on Tuesday afternoon about 2 hours before a scheduled 6:35 start against the Padres, and it has officially been canceled for a doubleheader on Wednesday, a 1:15 and 6:30 doubleheader. On Thursday or on Wednesday against the Padres to close out that series. So welcome in. A lot to talk about. It's been a busy few days. The last time we talked was Wednesday of last week when the Phillies offense was struggling against the Astros. Obviously, they end that series with a 2-1 defeat. They did score a run, positives. Yes. But let's start, dude. We'll recap the Atlanta series this past weekend as well. But we have to start after Monday's brilliance of Zack Wheeler.
Yeah.
We've talked on this podcast all season long how good the starting pitching has been, and Zack Wheeler led that. And on Monday night, he proved to have one of the better. Rob Thompson said it was one of the best performances in a month that, whether coaching, managing, that he's ever seen.
Yeah.
And he closes out June allowing only 2 earned runs over 3 starts. And last night he was just brilliant. 8 scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts, no walks, allowed 6 hits, but the big goose egg is really all that matters.
Yeah, 8 shutout innings. And you got to think he's the shoe-in candidate for NL Pitcher of the Month in June. I mean, obviously Christopher Sanchez and Ranger Suarez have good cases too, but
for sure,
Wheeler 5 starts in June, 0.58 ERA. Last night against a good Padres lineup, just dominant. The strikeouts, the swing and miss stuff, the weak contact. And, just in the 8th inning, he's still throwing 97 miles an hour.
Insane.
He's great. Like, that's the word to describe him. He is great. He's a Phillies all-time great, so we all need to appreciate that, not take him for granted. And the fact that he's still doing this at this age, he's getting stronger with age. And he's talked about after his contract extension ends after 27, that's going to be it for him. But if he keeps going like this, it'll be tough to call it quits when you're at this level. But he, in my opinion, we were talking about this earlier. I think he's the best Phillies pitcher since Steve Carlton.
Yeah.
And I don't take Roy Halladay lightly. I don't take Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels. I'm a huge Cole Hamels guy. And Cole had a great career here. Obviously, Cliff and Roy had parts of their careers elsewhere, had some great years here, but didn't really do it for an extended period of time. But Wheeler now 6 years, and Nola too. We should mention Nola in this conversation because he's been here for a while. He's had some great years. He's been very consistent up until this year. But to me, Wheeler now in year 6 with the Phillies, I think he should have won a couple Cy Youngs. Hopefully he gets one this year. But he's been pitching at that Cy Young level the whole time he's been here.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they got him at the contract they did, shout out Matt Klentak for getting that deal done in December of 2019. Before the 2020 season. And he's been great through that contract. He's been great so far in the first year of his extension. Best pitcher. I mean, Skubal's great. Skeens is great, but he's right up there, man.
Yeah.
Like you got one game to win. I'll give him the ball. I guess that's what it comes down to. But that's just my way of saying what he's doing, not just in June this year, not just this year, but his whole time as a Philly to me. He's building a resume that will get him up there among the all-time greats to ever play for the franchise.
Which is such a wild thought. When they signed him in 2019, obviously he was kind of like the Mets, like 3rd, 4th guy in the rotation. Now that rotation was stacked with DeGrom and Syndergaard and even Harvey at the time.
Yep.
So he kind of took that back seat. And when he signed here, I expected Zack to be a middle of the road or starter. your third, maybe your fourth starter, depending how well Aaron Nola, maybe they added some young guys. But he's come in here, and since 2019, it's just been dominant.
Yeah.
You know, every time he's going to go out there that the Phillies have a strong chance of winning. The players have said it. We have said it. Every fan, I feel like, feels the same way. And Monday night just proved that. And I think I agree with you. Ricky Bo on post-game last night said it, that he's the best free agent signing that the Phillies ever had. Bryce Harper's up there.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of
Tommy kind of got the ball rolling with the new ballpark and everything.
Sure.
But no, yeah, he is.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
He's got to be. And I think if it ends in a World Series, which we're all hoping that it will, it wouldn't surprise me. We get a statue of Zack Wheeler out at CBP.
Yeah, it's like such a casual brilliance too. He's such a plain dude. There's no flash. He just goes out there and shoves.
Yeah.
Every 5 days. That's another thing. Every fifth day, he wants the ball. He doesn't want extra days.
Yep.
He wants the ball every fifth day. And the one thing I left out when I was just singing his praises a moment ago, the postseason.
Yeah, dude.
What he's done in the postseason is unbelievable.
The numbers are insane.
You know, the 22 run, what he did in their game one was a travesty that they didn't get that win for him against the Mets in 24.
Yep.
What he's done every year, 23, that game 5 in the NLCS in Arizona, the series was tied at 2. Great outing.
Yep.
And then they come home, they lose game 6. Game 7, he comes in the bullpen and throws like 2 scoreless innings to keep the game within, reach. And
on
just
3 days rest, whatever it was.
He's just been, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but his career postseason ERA is even better. And, when the lights are bright, he's been at his best. So yeah, I just can't say enough about the guy. Knock on wood, he stays healthy, keeps going. But it's they need to win a World Series. Everybody talks about the Harper era, no doubt.
Yeah,
the Wheeler era.
Yes,
this dude is at the peak of his powers. You can't just squander this and not get this guy to the finish line.
And as you mentioned, there's 2 years left.
Yeah,
and if they can, maybe Zach, if he continues to throw 98 on his 107th pitch in the 8th inning like he did on Monday, going to be hard to turn that down. But as of right now, Zack Wheeler, man, it's almost, and Matt Gelb wrote that great article about him, kind of just like detailing how he's very low key. He's the guy on the team that doesn't text anybody back. He doesn't come to the functions, but they know, and that's okay. He does his own thing. He doesn't work out. Yeah. If JT sees him in the locker or in the workout room, he's surprised.
Yeah. Crushes McDonald's
and his Diet Cokes, man. It is. And even last night, like in the post-game press conference, you couldn't tell that he just went through 8 scoreless innings. He was just very mild manner. He gets in, gets his job done.
He had his racing hat on.
Oh yeah, Hendrick.
You would know.
Hendrick Motorsports. Shout out. I was going to ask him about that today until we got rained out, but I don't know. He didn't have a driver on there, but just Hendrick. It's one of the better NASCAR teams. Big NASCAR guy. But it's phenomenal. And then you go back to Sunday now, real quick, going back to the Brave series, and Ranger Suarez has just continued to do what he does. Obviously didn't get the run support. That's Brandon Marsh alluded to that after the game on Monday, that these guys are just going out there, and it's now the bats need to pick it up a little bit. And they did on Monday with some small ball, and then Nick goes yard for his 10th home run of the season. But then Ranger, it's just dominance on the mound. I just feel confident every time we see Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, Zack Wheeler, and Jesus Luzardo on the mound.
Yeah, because Luzardo, without the 2 starts, has been great. He was great. Or he was okay, down
on Saturday.
Atlanta, did the job, but the start before that against New York was awesome. But yeah, Ranger, like even on Sunday, like the velocity, not that he's a flamethrower in general, but the velocity was down a little bit, but it doesn't impact him as much because he just pitches so well. Location, in and out, speeds, like he's just just the definition of a pitcher. He doesn't throw particularly hard, but he knows what he's doing out there. Everything looks so easy. And what he's done, 1.19 ERA in his last 10 starts. I mean, that 10 starts is a long time. That's not just like a handful of starts. That's a couple of months, basically. And, he's been great. Sanchez has been great. You mentioned Luzardo. It's so funny we talk about this rotation on our pregame show. What would have been our pregame show on Tuesday night before the game got rained out tonight.
It's good tease for Wednesday, though.
Good tease.
Good tease for
Wednesday. Tune in pregame on Wednesday for the doubleheader, both games. But we have Ruben with us in studio for this series, and we're going to compare 25 to 11. Which is better, which rotation is better. Ruben's thoughts, because Ruben obviously was the architect of that 2011 rotation, and just having a rotation like those 2 rotations, just how much that helps the team over the course of 162, just to know you're going to be in every game pretty much every night if you can score a couple runs, which the Phillies haven't always done. But we talk about this Phillies offense, and they've been middle of the road to bad lately. They're still 50 and 35. It's only the second time since the wild card era, which is now 30 years ago. So third time, pardon me, in 30 years that they've won 50 of their first 85 games. They did it last year. They did it in 11. So, on the surface, it's like, oh, this team's frustrating. They're right where they need to be because of the pitching.
Yeah.
Because of the starting pitching, because of these guys just have been excellent. And we're talking without Nola. Like, if the beginning of the season you would have told me we'd be having this conversation, I would have told you Wheeler's probably been great. Nola's been Nola.
Yep.
And he hasn't. Wasn't Nola before he got hurt. Now he just hasn't flat out pitched in a month and a half. So if they can get him back and get him going, just with this pitching staff alone, they're going to be in every game, and that's half the battle.
And you talked about how their 15:35 would sit down here on Tuesday afternoon, July 1st, by the way. Happy July.
Yes.
The stat that Ruben in Atlanta brought it up on Sunday with Tom. We complain about this offense so much over the last, and obviously rightly so after the Houston series, but they're second in the league as of Sunday. I don't know what they were yesterday. I forget, but as of Sunday, they were batting .265 with runners in scoring possession, the second best in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and they've been bad at that recently, but yeah, they were good earlier in the season. Yeah, and 265, like you hear that, you're like, okay, but yeah, it's second best in baseball.
That's insane.
Other teams aren't doing much better or any better.
But we're sitting here like, oh my gosh, they're 0 for 8 every night. It's like, okay, they're 1 for 8 or 1 for 9 and 2 for 10 or whatever it is.
Right.
And they're the second best team in baseball with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
It's kind of a wild little stat there. But real quick, I know we talked about it on pregame on Monday as well. I wanted to get your opinion talking about Ranger.
Yeah.
Obviously, 2 big players, contracts expiring at the end of the season.
Yeah. If
you were Dave Dombrowski, John Middleton, everybody else in the Phillies brass, are you re-signing Kyle Schwarber or Ranger Suarez?
In a perfect world, both.
Yep.
But I mean, if you ask me who's more likely to be back here, I would say Kyle Schwarber.
Right.
I think they're going to make him a priority just in terms of what he means to their lineup. And the fact that I just did the math today for the pregame show that just got canceled. He's got almost 30% of their home runs. He's got 25 of their 89. Like you mentioned, Castellanos finally got to 10. Turner's got 11 now.
Yep.
Those are the only guys in double figures. So
insane.
If you take him out of the equation, Harper, I don't know that you can count on him to be the 30, 35 home run guy just with the wrist issues and staying healthy. And, hope he is. But next year, where's your power coming from? Where's the slug coming from if Kyle Schwarber's not in the lineup? Whereas Ranger, who's been brilliant, if you take him away from this rotation, conceivably, you still have Zack Wheeler. You still have Chris Sanchez. You still have Luzardo's under contract.
Yep.
Nola's under contract for a while. Now you got to get him back to what he was.
Yep.
And Andrew Painter's coming at some point. So, yes, Ranger is tremendous. You'd love to have him back. But I think he's more expendable, which sounds crazy given what he's done lately. But I just think he's more expendable right now to them. And I think with Scott Boras involved, Ranger's going to the open market and Ranger's going to take top dollar.
Yep.
And if the Phillies aren't prepared to offer him 6 years and $150 million, I just made that up, but I think he's going to get 25 per.
Same.
I think he's going to go and take that deal. Whereas Kyle, I think there might be a little more flexibility to get something done. So that's my answer. I think Kyle is more likely. I wish you could have them both. But to me, Kyle is more valuable to the team, which sounds crazy given what Rangers doing.
We sat down and talked about it on the last podcast. I think your game 2 starter in the playoffs probably going to be Ranger Suarez.
No doubt.
Yeah, 110%.
And he's such a weapon if you need him out of the bullpen. So
Correct.
You can do that.
Correct.
Yeah, I know. It sounds silly saying, oh, yeah, Suarez, who needs him? But to me, Schwarber just represents something that they need desperately. And he's the only guy really that can hit the ball to the yard on a consistent basis.
Yeah. And it's funny because now everyone with the trade deadline approaching here, everyone, I don't know if you saw that Adolis Garcia home run last night.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
We mentioned him on our last podcast.
Yes,
that
we
would be
did.
something. Yeah.
And right-handed bat. I mean, that would be special. Who knows what the Phillies will do, and we'll get to that. But talking about just the lineup now and transitioning, man, it was good to see 3 back last night. I know he was, 0 for 2 with a walk and got hit by a pitch. Kind of like not really I would say non-exciting at bats for Bryce in his first game back, but it was just, it was great to see, man. It's about time. And his comments before the game were a little shaky. I know a lot of people were kind of questioning whether they liked the comments or not, saying he didn't really kind of feel as if the wrist was getting any better.
Right.
And it just, time is time. And then he kind of clarified those comments by saying, it does feel better than it did, but I think it's not going to get any better than it is.
Right. Yeah,
you and I have had this discussion multiple times. I'm still a little concerned about it, but it's just great to see 3 back in the lineup.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and the comments obviously would just say it is what it is, and this is how it's going to feel, and it feels a lot better than it did 3 weeks ago, which I think was the point. So something he's going to manage and see how it goes. But yeah, just even the lineup like yesterday, like okay, like
There he
Turner
is.
1, Schwarber 2, Harper 3, which is interesting to me that Harper was behind Schwarber as opposed to vice versa. But the lineup just looks better. Bohm 4, Castellanos 5, Kepler. I know we're going to talk about him a little bit last night 6, and so on down the line. JT, Stott, and Marsh. But no, to have Harper back is great. I like the idea of him hitting behind Schwarber. I don't think, obviously, that Rob Thompson's not trying to separate the lefties anymore. And if Bohm continues to hit, then I think that's enough protection for Harper. Harper obviously gives Schwarber tons of protection. And the bottom line to me is Turner and Schwarber are both getting on base at a pretty high clip here. So that's the thought. Get them on base for Bryce and do some damage at the top of the lineup. So, yeah, last night was last night. I think he'll get a little more comfortable, manage the pain. And he even referenced himself the fact that the way the schedule kind of lays out here, they're going to have the doubleheader tomorrow now. But then I'll be interested to see if he plays both games tomorrow. That'll be interesting.
I don't think he will.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me either, because I know they were hoping he could play today, tomorrow, and then every Thursday this month they're off,
Which is insane.
including the All-Star break.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of off days where I think they kind of figured, all right, he's really never going to have to play more than 4 or 5 games in a row.
Yep.
And you got plenty of off days in July. You got the whole All-Star break. So hopefully they can manage it. And it's something that 3, hopefully 4 months, that we can kind of keep it under wraps, keep it somewhat pain-free, where he can perform at a relatively high level. And yeah, obviously having him back is a huge deal.
It just, I don't know. It made me feel a lot comfortable. And just being back home, man, that was such like it felt like a long road trip. Because that Mets series in between the Miami and Houston series was back at home. And obviously that was great. But then it just felt like they were on the road forever there as they wrap up the month of June. And man, they'll take a 14-13 record in June.
14-13 in June. They've had a winning record every month, 14-13 in June. And they started June, I believe, 1-6.
Yeah.
So they obviously turned it on mid to late.
And so the road trip, they were 2-6.
In the road trip, they were 2-4.
2-4.
It was a
2-4
game trip,
in 6 games.
2-4. They got swept by the Astros and took 2-1 of Atlanta.
And as we sit down right now, they have a 2-game lead over the New York Mets.
Over the Mets.
That's insane.
Yep.
So all good things. Real quick on Bryce too. We mentioned it pregame show. He's halfway through this contract.
Yeah.
We just talked about Zack Wheeler getting a statue. If he continues this dominance and gets a World Series ring, Bryce, I think if he gets a World Series ring, maybe another MVP under his belt, he'll be right next to Zack out there. But through 6.5 years of this contract, man, they flew by.
They did. I remember a young Spencer McKercher flying through the newsroom in February 2019. We got Bryce. We got Bryce. Who was it? John Heyman just tweeted Bryce
to Phillies. Yeah.
And we were waiting about 5 months for any kind of news that was substantial. But yeah, that's crazy now. That's 6.5 years ago.
And now we have 6.5 years left.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're looking at the first half of the contract, it's got to be an A. I guess maybe not an A+ because of the lack of the World Series.
Yep.
But for his performance.
And the injuries, I think, in there too.
Yeah, for sure. But just the most important thing with him is what you thought when he signed, and has been the case. He changed the whole trajectory of the organization. The expectations are different now. Now it's postseason or bust, and it's a failure, and you're winning 90 games a year. And, before he got here, obviously they had the real down years in that like 16, 17 range. But even like Gabe Kapler's first couple of, 18, they were 500. Yep. Then his first year, 19, they were still right around 500. And then the 20 COVID year was the COVID year. But since this will be year 4 now of these expectations, of this trajectory of him changing the expectations, him changing the whole outlook for the organization, and he has the power to do that. He's done that. So yeah, I'd give the first 6.5 years an A, which is crazy. 13 years, $330 million. You're thinking, oh my gosh, how's he ever going to live up to that? I think he has, just on and off the field. He's done everything right, and just missing that World Series. But you mentioned MVP, NLCS MVP. The numbers are the numbers. He's changed the lineup, the whole makeup of the squad. And last thing I'll say, I know you want to weigh on this.
No, I love it.
Other guys want to come here. Like, since he signed, Wheeler was, obviously right after him.
Yep.
But then, Turner, Schwarber, Castellanos, JT.
Yep.
They basically just traded for JT to because, hey, Bryce, who we got? Come on, play with your buddy. Like, all these guys, I don't think they're coming here.
No, man.
If Bryce Harper isn't given the legitimacy of, okay, this team's going to compete for a World Series title. Bryce is here. They're going to do everything to win for Bryce.
Yeah.
I want to go be a part of it. So that to me is a big deal too.
I got chills as you just said that. I think you're exactly right. It carried the weight of an entire city, and he has carried that weight of an entire city. He's embraced the whole Philadelphia aspect of things.
Yeah.
Ricky Bo is making faces, and I can't concentrate. Do you want to come say hi? Come say hi. Here he comes. We're 19 minutes in.
What's up?
There he is.
Go Phils.
That's all you got?
Best in the business.
I got work.
Oh, okay.
Best
Go do your radio show. All right. special.
Strange him acting like a
A normal,
knucklehead, right?
yeah, normal human being.
Yeah.
We'll end this pod on some stories real quick, and then I know we got to get going. But it's just he's embraced the city, and you knew that was going to happen right away. Obviously, he was on the cover of MLB The Show right when it happened, and it's just you're exactly right. It's brought that presence to Philly, and obviously when he signed that contract too, that kind of set the bar of all these big name players making 10+ years with $300 plus $1 million contracts.
Yeah.
And he was the first one to do it. And now obviously he's what, I think he's 9th or 10th now.
Yeah, there's been a lot
total
of big money
contracts. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But man, it's just been special. And it needs to end in a World Series. And the next 6.5 years, I think they'll get one. And if they can get one, I think we'll have a statue right next to Zack Wheeler out there.
And one other thing, it's interesting having this conversation with the Padres in town with Machado, because they were obviously the two headliners of that free agent class.
Dude,
I said this to Ruben Amaro last night. We were watching the game when Manny hit a bullet. Manny's a great player.
Don't get me wrong.
Hall of Famer. But he hits that ball off the top of the wall and isn't running, only gets a single. I just kind of, I feel like his act would have worn pretty thin here.
Fast.
Whereas Bryce, as you just mentioned, is everything this town is about. It was just such a good fit. I don't know that Manny would still be here because obviously his contract had those opt-outs and everything else.
Even with that construction worker.
Yeah, even the construction worker rolling on the red carpet for him. Do the right thing, Manny, or whatever he said to him. Good stuff.
Oh, it's good stuff. I think you're exactly right, though.
Yeah, but no, I think we were at the time, either one of those guys would be great.
Perfect.
Which they are great.
Yep.
But I think the Phillies ended up with the right guy for a lot of reasons.
And we alluded to it last night. It's so funny. This Padres team, they're a disaster.
Yeah, they're talented, but
and you're giving these $300 million contracts to Jackson Merrill, Xander Bogaerts, and Tatis.
Yeah, Tatis, Machado,
and there's
Bogaerts,
just been
they all have big money contracts.
An NLCS appearance.
Yeah,
5-game losers to the Phils in 2022, and that's all you have to written for it. And the Phillies have a pair of NLCS appearances, 3 straight playoff appearances, a World Series appearance. They made the right decision, and I'm really glad that 3 is still a Philly, and I'm sure that contract extension will come.
Yeah,
I think he'll retire as a Philly no matter what. No matter what this team looks like down the road. I mean, Trey Turner still has 9 more years.
Yeah, there's a lot of time. Bryce still has
it's a lot of time. Yeah, Wheeler, Nola's got 6 more years.
Yeah,
there's a lot of time. So
Padres have that song though, that little fan fight song.
Oh, we were gonna start with that. I forgot about it.
Manny's
gonna cruise. Bryce is gonna lose.
There it is.
That's what's in God. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say this, and we might get you out. That's the biggest bunch of losers that I've ever seen on the internet in my entire life.
That was rough. The confidence was there.
Sure,
they felt pretty good about that.
It's the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that the Phillies didn't touch anything like that. We'll keep our dancing on our own much better.
Yes, for sure.
All right, to wrap up, I did want to hit on just Max Kepler's comments in the Matt Gelb article written after Thursday's loss to the Astros.
Yep.
What I don't to me, I mean, it made me upset. It did, and I get where he's coming from. He signed that 1-year, $10 million deal. He was guaranteed to start every game, or at least be the starting left fielder for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Right.
Well, up until that game on Thursday, I guess he started every game in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure he did.
He started. Yeah, he didn't start. They ran up against a bunch of lefties at the end of that Mets series into Houston. They started against Valdez. He didn't start against Valdez in the opener, and then did not start the second game either. And then he finally did start against Hunter Brown. But Rob Thompson was asked about it when they came back home, or pardon me, he was asked about it in Atlanta over the weekend, and he was like, "Well, he started 60 games or whatever it is. That seems like it
was 60 of the 81.
60 of the 81.
Half
so
the
I
season.
mean, that's a pretty good percentage, and he hasn't hit much at all. His power's been very sporadic, and he's hitting close to 200 now at this point. So, I'll defend Rob Thompson again. I feel like our last podcast, we talked about the Castellanos issue, and him, the way he handled that, I thought was great. And Rob Thompson has given Max Kepler more than enough opportunity. If Max Kepler wants to be in the lineup more, hit more. Yeah. And Otto Kemp is now with Bryce back. Otto Kemp is a legitimate platoon option for them
for sure
in left field right now. And we both think that there could be another outfielder coming here in the next 4 weeks.
Yep.
So I don't think Max Kepler has any gripe at all. It is a little concerning to me that it kind of came on the heels of the Castellanos thing, where you're starting to hear a little bit more, publicly and behind closed doors that guys, aren't happy about certain things. But no, I think Rob Thompson has no need to apologize to Max Kepler for the playing time that he's gotten this year.
No, and well, real quick on that, we hear these kind of behind closed doors things. Max says that obviously the Nick issue, and then Trey Turner comes out on Friday night after the 3-hour rain delay. He has 2 home runs. They win 13-0. And he talks to Tom and Ruben up in the booth, and he's like, yeah, like that Houston series, we kind of sat back and laughed at ourselves. So then it's like, okay, wait. So where is this divided line of everyone's kind of pissed off and everyone's laughing at each other for struggling that bad in Houston?
For sure. Yeah.
And I know it's that core group of guys that I think we've talked about it. They're a band of brothers, that team. That's why they've stuck around. That's why there hasn't been really big major changes. But in your opinion, real quick, as we wrap up here, is Max Kepler on this roster in August?
I mean, they obviously gave Whit Merrifield a certain runway last year. And, Max Kepler's been, I guess, a little better than Whit Merrifield. But no, if they can get the right guy and they can make the right additions to the roster, I wouldn't be shocked if he's gone. Now, they'll have an opportunity to kind of play his way into their future plans. Everything all right? The Sixers crew's coming in here.
Amy Vidal's here.
People are clamoring to get their Sixers Talk podcast.
Yep.
We're just trying to talk some Phils here.
Max Kepler.
Club. But yeah, so no, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if Max Kepler's days are somewhat numbered. Now, I'm not predicting that, but
no.
I mean, he's got to hit. He's got to play. He's got to hit. And he hasn't, he's making $10 million this year. That's a pretty good salary. And the production has not been on level with that.
It has not. And the best thing that can happen is he starts to play every day and maybe get those numbers back up, because that was the whole thing. He wants to play every day to get that routine in, and that's not happened. So hopefully maybe that changes things and we see a better Max Kepler as the second half of the season rolls on here. But we're getting kicked out. I wanted to end on some fun stuff. I mean, obviously the rain delay on Friday was a mess. Ricky Bo was a mess. There's
Ricky's
helmet smashing. His computer is malfunctioning. But we'll
Sixers people are
really on our tails here.
Summer league starting soon.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we got to get into that.
VJ Edgecombe, Janai Broom. Wow.
Right. Yes.
Meanwhile, this team has a 2-game lead in the National League East on July 1st.
Yep. Oh well.
Hey, fun pod though. Hopefully Wednesday turns out well for this team. 2 games against the Padres. If they can take both, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Christopher Sanchez on the mound. I don't know. I guess I haven't seen anything about pitching yet.
Usually the quote unquote veteran gets to pick. So I would think that Sanchez and Abel tomorrow. So I would think Sanchez, my guess is he'll pitch the day game.
Maybe.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. And especially Mick Abel missed that start on Friday after the rain delay too.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's itching to get back on the mound. So hopefully they close out that Padres series with a pair of wins. And then July 4th coming around, Cincinnati Reds 1:00 game on Friday. Hopefully we'll catch you guys after that series then. But until then, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good, man.
We got to get out.
We got to get out of here. Getting forced out. Thanks for having me, Spence.
Of course, buddy. Of course. That was always a good one.
Uh-huh.
All right. That's Sean Kane. I'm Spence McKercher. We'll talk to you guys next week.